I am so excited to be here tonight at the inaugural all-women's TEDx event. I've never been surrounded by so many amazing women speakers. Let's give it up for the ladies. What? I'm the only woman speaker? Is this a joke? Ted? Excuse me, Ted? Hi. Yeah, am I the only woman speaker here tonight? You thought I was a guy? Okay. This is awkward. But I've survived more awkward situations than this one. Just not in front of so many people, you know. Actually, I'm kind of a professional survivor. I mean, I'm really hot in the survivor community. I wrote a book about surviving breast cancer twice before the age of 32 called My One Night Stand with Cancer. And then I adapted it into a one-woman show, Saving Tanya's Privates, about surviving. And I know we're not supposed to pitch our products, Ted. I got that. But the only reason I mentioned my book and my play is because I didn't know I was a survivor until I put my story out into the world. And then people just started telling me that I was a survivor. You know, I'd show up for a book reading and they'd say, Tania Katan, 2-time breast cancer survivor. And people would write about me and say, young survivor tells her story. And you're a survivor. But this word survivor just felt really odd on me. A, I didn't know the definition so well. And B, I didn't come to mind when I thought of survivors, you know? I mean, when I think of survivors, I think of my grandmother, Mémé Daisy. And Mémé was living in France during World War II, when one day her husband went to a local bar to have a drink, and the Nazis raided the bar and took her husband to a concentration camp, and he was killed. And so my grandmother took her 3 children, and she went to the hills of France, and she hid until my grandmother and my aunts and uncle became Holocaust survivors. Oh God, and of course the most iconic survivor, MTV, right? A show where 12 super sexy, half-naked people are trapped on a beautiful island. Survivor. But I've never endured anything even close to the atrocities of the Holocaust. And at best, I'm cute, but sexy, not so much. So I had to work with this new moniker, survivor. And just recently, I really wrapped my brain around being a survivor, like in a way that felt really comfortable and organic to me. I am a survivor. And then I got a phone call from Ted, and he asked me to speak about sustainability. So, as you can imagine, I had an existential crisis. I mean, how can you sustain if you can't maintain anything because you're not alive, if you're not living? I mean, how do you move forward with a community if you have no idea who the community members are? And is TED a man or just an acronym with control issues? I mean, TED Commandments? What the hell is that? So my mind was reeling. And then Audre Lorde came down to help me with my existential crisis. For those of you who don't know, Audre Lorde was a rock star poet, memoirist, revolutionary, and breast cancer activist before there were even breast cancer activists. And she said, when we speak, we are afraid that our words will not be heard or welcomed. But when we are quiet, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak. In one fell swoop, Audre Lorde helped me out of my crisis and answered all of my questions and made it possible for me to be here tonight talking about urban sustainability. I mean, it's all about voice, right? I mean, if you speak, you survive. And if you listen, you sustain. Survivability and sustainability, speaking and listening. It's so easy. Thank you, Audrey. God, well, I think I've done enough for tonight, don't you? All right, thank you. Oh, unless you're in a uncomfortable situation and your voice leaves the building before your body has a chance to process it. It's 2005, and I'm standing at the start line of Susan G. Komen's Race for a Cure. At this point in my life, I have survived 2 rounds of cancer, and I have exactly no breasts. As soon as the announcer yells, "Runners, go!" I'm going to take off my shirt, exposing 2 mastectomy scars, and run. I do these topless 10Ks because they make me feel small and unusual, because I never saw what a breast cancer survivor really looked like, because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month and I'm just being aware. Runners, go! And we're off. And by we, I mean me, my shirt, and 50,000 people. And soon people are noticing my scars, looking at me in a loving way, a respectful way, a slightly confused way. But they're looking. They're not scared of my scars. I'm not scared of my scars. I feel high, like runner's high. So amazing, so confident. I feel taller than usual, more sturdy and secure. I feel secure. I am crossing the finish line, hands on hips, catching breath. Pink ribbon with gold medal around my neck. How did that get there? A Cub Scout. Cool. You go! I follow the voice to a woman in her 60s who looks fit and friendly. What you're doing is, it's brave. She throws her arms around me and starts to cry. The momentum of her hug knocks me back, and for one moment, we're 2 people who don't know each other, stuck together, moving. I strut into the Survivors Cafe. A little place set up for us survivors. There's pink chairs, pink tables, pink cups. It's like Barbie's living room, only larger scale. And soon, my fellow survivors start to notice me. That is awesome. I wish I could do something like that. Can I hug you? I feel like a rock star. Proud, loud, and sexy. Yeah. A woman in a pink polo shirt with black writing that says Susan G. Komen, Race for the Cure, approaches me. Hi. I'm gonna have to ask you to put your shirt back on. Now. But I don't understand. I'm on the board of Susan G. Komen, and you have to put your shirt on. Now. But I'm not doing anything wrong. There are children here. But they're here because somebody they know has breast cancer. If you don't put your shirt on right now, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the Survivors Cafe. I stood topless in the middle of the Survivors Cafe. I was speechless. How come irony takes so long to sink in? I leave the Survivors Cafe slow, like leaving a funeral. A group of teenage girls is sizing me up. I walk faster. "Excuse me," one of them asks. "Excuse me, miss, is that what breast cancer looks like?" Another one asks, how did you get it?" And another one, "You know, my mom had it, and she died a few months ago, that's why I'm here." And soon, these girls are surrounding me, and we're exchanging questions and answers. One of the girls asks to touch my scars. I let her. And in this moment, surrounded by these kids, I start to understand the power of voice, of speaking and listening, survivability and sustainability. So, when I was asked to come here tonight and talk about urban sustainability, I knew that I was kind of an odd choice. I knew that my talk would be really different from all the other speakers. And I knew that I would be the only woman. And quite frankly, this information made me very uncomfortable and a little bit upset. And that is why I decided to speak tonight. So, if you ever have an opportunity to do or say something that makes you feel small or unusual, do it. Take your shirt off, metaphorically, or literally, and show your community who you are. Our survival depends on it. Thank you very much.